I'm Sloane, and I know basketball. Today's guest is none other than Duke legend, depends on how you know him, Jason or Jay Williams. His journey from winning a national championship in college to being drafted second in the NBA draft and watching his jersey get hung up in the rafters at Cameron Indoor Stadium is a story you won't want to miss. All right, Jay, so I'm 17, right? And I want to go all the way back to when you were 17, which I know unfortunately was a really, really long time ago. So I don't know if you're still going to remember.
First off, it wasn't that really, really long ago.
Really?
Let's say I'm not like in my 60s here.
True, but
Okay.
it was BC, which is, or BL, before LeBron. Before LeBron.
Before Christ? Did you go BC at
I was
first?
going to say BC, but you know what I changed to? BL, before LeBron.
That's a thing now?
Oh, it's my thing. BL, before LeBron. I mean,
Okay.
Jesus,
That's-
LeBron,
yeah,
we get it.
I-
Okay. So back then, when you were 17, so many years ago, in high school, you played volleyball, soccer, and chess in
Yes.
addition to basketball. I think so many high school kids, have to make this big decision. What sport are you going to play? How did you decide that you wanted to focus on basketball?
I think it didn't really happen until my junior year, which is kind of like shocking
Yeah.
because I played everything. But also, I see kids that specialize in like one individual sport, and I think
Yeah.
how much that sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think the amount of pressure that you put on yourself, like I'm less than 0.0001% of the world that became a pro, yet alone a top 10 pick, which is
Yeah.
0.01 of that 0.0001, right? So, like playing soccer really helped me with my feet, like coordination, right? Like playing volleyball helped me learn how to jump the right way.
What did chess help you with?
Strategy and thinking ahead all the time, which is a point guard. I always see things ahead.
Yeah.
Like I even think situations, like being like we had dinner last night. I'm like, okay, cool. Like player A is gonna sit here. Player C is going to walk in. I'm gonna position the conversation this way. I wanna see how she reacts to it. If she reacts to it this way, I could play this move. If she reacts that way, I need to play that move. So I'm constantly always,
Yeah.
it's just spinning. And that's chess.
Yeah, I think you're the smartest person I've ever met.
I don't know about that.
No, I
Your
think
dad's
so.
pretty smart.
Yeah, okay. Like Albert Einstein's smart too, but Jay, you got something going there. Okay, so what was your favorite team growing up?
What sport?
Basketball.
I was a New Jersey Nets fan. That transitioned to the Brooklyn Nets
Yes.
fan. Unfortunately, KD's, shoe being size 16 was just a little bit too big for us
Just
to
a
reach
little,
glory.
My question is, because you are a New Jersey kid, were you upset by the transition to Brooklyn, or you have stuck with them?
Well, okay. Can I just? So I literally, when KD tore his Achilles, I was on the plane with him flying back from literally Toronto back to New York with him and Rich Kleiman, and just remember that moment because everybody's like, "What are you gonna do?"
Yeah.
Right? And how they had diagnosed him. How they told him that couldn't really happen, and then that did happen. So like I watched him at this inflection point. So like just watching KD then go with Kyrie, and then them landing James Harden. Actually, I got a good investment in because before KD actually committed, I bought courtside seats at a great price, and I inflated that price and was able to sell a lot of tickets. But it was just really cool to actually experience like all those guys and like Brooklyn being a thing. Like
Totally.
Jay-Z was at games, Joe and Clara Sy were at
Yeah.
games, and then we just
Well, they would
it
have
just
to be
dissipated.
there even if the Nets sucked, because they
Do
own the
you?
team.
I mean,
Well,
I see a lot of team owners that don't go to their team games.
Steve
all the time.
Ballmer does.
That's Steve though.
True,
That's an
true,
extreme.
True. That's not all. Yeah,
That's an
that's true.
extreme.
You have to give him credit for that.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
always there, for sure. All right, so
Who's your favorite team, by the way?
I'm a Warriors fan.
You're a Warriors fan?
Yeah.
Have you ever done an interview with Steph?
No, but if you want to get
We need to make that
one.
happen.
Come on, that's my last question. Jay, here's the thing with you being so smart is that I was gonna ask you later, like, who do you want to help me get on my podcast? But
Anybody
just
you
do
want.
it. Oh,
I mean, I
Jay.
think Aisha might be better than Steph.
That would be
though.
cool. Or like a couples pod, like the two of them with me.
I
Like
never
that'd
thought
be
about
very cool.
that.
I know, right? I mean, Sloane knows. I just have these thoughts, and
Yes.
that's what happens. All right, so when you played in the McDonald's All-American game in 1999, 4 other Duke commits played in that game, which is pretty special. It's sort of shown the longevity of how Duke has always just dominated high school recruits, pretty much. I want to know what your highlight from that game was.
Probably, well, first off, like Carlos Boozer, who is a perennial all-star with the Utah Jazz,
Yes.
played with Darian Williams. He turned him more into a power forward, but that dude was shooting threes from half court with me. He was more of a guard, like T-Mac,
Yeah.
coming out of Juneau, Alaska.
Wow.
Like how many players come out of Juneau,
Not that
Alaska?
many.
Seriously. And then we have Mike Dunleavy, who's now the
Yeah.
GM with the Golden
Warriors.
State Warriors,
And
which is
I
the
want you
plug
to ask
for
him something for me.
that.
Can you please tell him to trade for Zach LaVine? I'm just bored. We're so bad right now.
Zach?
I think
Is
we
Zach
need
the
Zach.
answer, though?
I think he's more of the answer than Jimmy.
No, I
If we
definitely, I don't
make
want
a
Jimmy on
move-
Golden State.
If we make a move, I think it's Zach. Otherwise, I'd rather just keep our young core and just really pray that Jonathan Kuminga decides
Who are you going to
stay
get
healthy.
back to Chicago for Zach?
I mean, the
You gonna
trade
give up Wiggins?
says... I think you can do it without him. I think it's Loon, Pods, and then I think you go Moses Moody, and I guess you maybe Buddy Hield. And then I guess you maybe I don't think we need that. I mean, Zach LaVine has been an all-star for years. Like, he doesn't need 5 players in a
I
trade
love
for
Zach.
him.
I just wonder how Zach fits into like the continuity in which they run, because they don't.
Well,
there's
he's
not a
played
lot
with
of,
Wiggs before.
Yeah,
so.
but it's not like Wiggs even turns like a catch and shoot, catch turn driving player. Zach likes the ball in his hands.
He can't really do that. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's
so
fair.
It just depends upon how you build the schematically around
That's
Steph.
true. Let's get Mike on here too, and we'll all have this conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm
so
excited.
him and Case Sanders. I think the thing I was up in the dunk contest after the first round,
Yeah.
but I ran out of dunks, and I literally faked an injury. I said that I hurt my wrist, so I couldn't dunk
That's
anymore.
not a good learning experience for kids, is it?
Well, I mean, you got to get out while you're ahead.
Okay, fair.
That's how I look at it. Like,
cool.
it's like I'm competing against giants. Let's be honest, I'm 6'2".
True.
I'm like Mugsy Bogues compared
Yeah.
to like Carlos and
Yeah,
Mike and all these guys. So like, what really
You're
do I
just
have
gonna
left?
stop. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So what I'm curious about is, like, when you were
I
in
love
high
you. Like, that's not a great lesson for kids.
No, it's not. I gotta defend my children up here. Like, for your kids should be listening. I'm a kid.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, if you're leading and then you run out of stuff, it doesn't mean that you don't try. It just means like, hey, look, I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
You got to know thyself.
Yeah. My parents used to get mad at me because, like, in my math test, if I didn't know a question, I would just start sobbing and having a panic attack. And I feel like you're basically encouraging me to continue to do that on tests.
Wow, that translation is not what I was.
No,
that was
it
not
was.
the
That's
intention at
what
all.
I'm saying, Jay.
I'm
You're
glad we're
just
talking this through.
Voice.
Yeah.
It's like when I hear you, you're like an idol to me. So when I hear you say, "Oh, I faked an injury," I'm like, I could do that.
Well, the injury was for a slam dunk contest.
Okay,
the injury
not a
wasn't for
math
like
test.
a game or a
That's
math
true.
test,
That's
or
true. That's
it wasn't
true.
something like trivial.
Yeah.
It was like
I
a
don't know
random
if you know
slam
the phrase,
dunk
you
contest.
mogged me, but you just mogged me.
Okay.
You can look it up later. He'll figure it out. I know you guys
I'll
know
work
what
on
I'm
that
talking
stuff,
about.
yeah.
So high school stars today are celebrities. Let's be real. They're
Can you just
social
tell me
media
what mog
stars.
means real quick though?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I actually tried to explain this the other day. So mog is like when you just So mog is like I'm mogging. It's when you're better than someone else at something. So let's say you say, or I say, for instance, I met Buddy Hield yesterday. I took a picture with him, and you're like, oh, well, I met Michael Jordan. You just mogged me. You
got
one
it,
up
got
me.
it.
You're
Okay,
cool.
one up, yeah, okay,
Exactly, one
okay,
up.
all right.
So now let's go back to my question here, Jay. So
Okay.
you're really getting me off
I
track.
love you, Sloane.
Love
You're
you
my
too.
favorite.
Bestie. Twin.
Always.
Twin. Okay, so high school stars are celebrities. They're social media stars. Some of them get a little carried away. Let's take Mikey Williams as an example. We thought that we were going to see him in the NBA now. He's still in college at now his second school because he was basically had the platform of an NBA star since he was 15. I want to know what your thoughts are about that sort of new role that social media plays in high school basketball kids' lives, and also what you think your high school experience would have been like if you had had that stardom then.
Let me ask you a question. When you get done with your podcast and then you post the podcast, what's the first thing you look at to measure whether that particular post was successful or not?
Likes?
Yeah. Right. Fame is one hell of a drug. It's addictive.
Yeah.
And the problem is the more fame and attention you get, the more that kind of starts to fill in things within your ego. And I wonder for a guy like Mikey or for anybody, like how young people deal with that, right? Like you got to imagine, like my motorcycle accident, like, you know how many times that people who disagree with what I say about basketball. So I could be like, hey, look, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, but I think Steph Curry's better at pin down screens, coming off pin down screens instead of flare screens. Something as trivial or tiny as that, right? If people disagree, somebody like, you're stupid, you don't know basketball, you probably hit your head too hard in that motorcycle accident. Or sometimes when I said, hey, look, for North Carolina, they're fragmented right now. They're not playing together. I think they lack leadership. What would you know about leadership? You should have died in your motorcycle accident. People say that kind of vicious stuff. So I think there's a mental toughness that it takes for young people to learn that all these people that have opinions on their lives really don't know who the hell they are, right? I think that takes a lot of people around you to make sure that you are, barriered from that stupidity. But also, if you're going to the metrics of likes to determine whether your things are successful or not, you're gonna look at that. So I think it's a challenge for any young person.
Yeah, totally. You just have to ignore it, put it aside, and just grind.
None of those people are actually the ones that come up to you, right? The people that say, oh, Jay, you should have killed yourself in a motorcycle accident.
they're
When
not
I see
gonna
them
say it to
like,
you.
Jay, I love you. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. So you just don't want to say it to my face.
Totally. All right, so also when you were in high school, I know that one of your nicknames was J-Dub.
Yep.
And, there's J-Dub now on the Thunder. I'm curious, do you think that he's done a good job carrying on your nickname?
I think he's exceeded my nickname. I don't think I've ever been recognized as J-Dub. I think people now more so call me J-Will.
True, okay.
And then there was that whole thing, like, when I'm here, they still call me Jason because my name is Jason. But when I leave these confines, they call me Jay. Because one guy, shot his chauffeur. The other guy had, white boy tattoo on his knuckles, even though I think, honestly, he was the real Jason Williams, Sacramento. He was probably the realest one there was.
Yeah.
That's
So-
depressing, but it's honest.
Oh, I love your honesty.
Yeah,
See,
just-
that's a good lesson to teach kids is your honesty.
I'm glad
you know?
we're tying that back around,
Oh,
closing
yeah,
the
of
loop
course.
on that.
Look at
Good.
that. I always do. So you had offers from Florida State, San Diego State. What about Duke made you choose the Blue Devils?
Actually, I had offers too from like Notre Dame, Yale, and Georgetown.
You're an academic, so that
Yeah.
really means something to you.
This dude got me here. Like I played for the greatest coach of all time. Now,
Yeah.
whether you want to debate that between him and John Wooden,
It's fine. I don't want to debate. I
okay.
agree.
Let me tell you what he did. I think it's really interesting.
Okay.
So when I came in to meet Coach K, I sit in his room, my mom and my dad, and my parents are sitting in these two small chairs next to me, and I'm sitting like in a fold-up chair like this, and Coach K is sitting like in a grandfather chair. And he goes, "Hey, David. Hey, Althea. My parents' first name's nice to meet you." And he goes, "So like Mr. Williams." Like, so automatically, he started I'm 16.
Yeah.
He was addressing me as an adult. It was the first time I felt automatically accountable with just somebody addressing me.
Totally.
And he was like, "I'm calling you by like your surname because that's how I need you to act here.
Wow.
I need you to act like an adult. And
Yeah.
I'm going to treat you like an adult." So I think just the way he made me think about the game, the way he made me see the game, and the way he spoke to me, honestly, was different than any other person that's spoken to me in my life.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And especially as a kid who I try to put myself in mature adult rooms, it really is true. Like when an adult treats you like you're mature, it really means so much.
What's the first thing you do when you go into a room full of adults who are powerful?
Introduce myself?
Yeah, I just watch. And that's from Coach. I watch mannerisms.
Yeah.
I see who's outgoing, who's not outgoing, who's a little bit more reclusive. I always go more towards a person who feels a little bit more reclusive. Because I think people who actually take a quick survey instead of just, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah.
It's always interesting,
Yeah,
people's
just
approach.
first scan and then
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to take that advice. Thanks. So when you committed to Duke in 1999, so did Carlos Boozer. Like you said, you played with him in the McDonald's All-American game. Did him coming here have anything to do with you choosing the school? Were you excited to team up with him?
I mean, how about this? So my sophomore year, my junior year, when I leave, because I graduated school a year early, I was a second pick. Mike Dunleavy was a third pick.
Yeah.
Carlos Boozer was like in the mid-30s, but he turned out to be a perennial
Yeah.
all-star.
It's crazy he was a second rounder.
Chris Duhon played 15 years in the NBA. Dante Jones played 10 years in the NBA. We just had
An amazing
crazy squad. Like we were loaded with talent. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I wasn't trying to come to a program like, I'm gonna be the savior, everybody follow me.
Yeah.
I came to Duke thinking I wasn't gonna start. I thought William Avery was gonna be here. So I was like, my whole mentality was like, how do I take the starting spot from him?
Yeah.
And then he left, and then it's like, I was given the ball, and the rest is history.
If your Duke squad matched up against today,
Oh, we would
2025
smack 'em.
Duke, really?
We smacked them.
Cooper's not.
Smack
How many
'em.
points is Cooper putting up?
Cooper's not going to do anything against Shane Batty. Shane
Oh.
Batty was
T.
6'8", two-time National
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year. Swiss Army knife, can defend that. I mean, Shane Batty won a world championship with LeBron and D Wade for Miami and made critical plays down the stretch. So,
Yeah.
like, I think this Duke team is super special. But I think we were older too, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We were more mature.
Cooper's a child.
Like, and Cooper's special.
Yeah.
I think as a freshman, right? Like, I also think our team, like, we were sophomores and seniors, different than having 4 freshmen. And Malawach and these guys are great.
Yeah.
But
They're not experienced.
we're
as
just
much
on
as
a
you guys
different.
were. Yeah.
We're on a different level.
Totally. And also, I mean, in college ball now, one and done is the goal. Like,
Yeah.
I've interviewed so many guys who I've learned now that, because at the beginning I always thought, oh, like, if you're good, you're going to go one and done. But now I'm starting to understand that sometimes that extra year is the make or break, and that's what leads you to being successful in the league, which I think is really interesting.
Well, I mean, I think that this is a basketball pod, which I love. You ready to geek out on basketball?
Sure, let's do
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna put you on game on this.
Okay.
So, why would it be beneficial for somebody to leave school early with the way the league is actually organized right now?
Oh gosh, I didn't think this was going to be like school. Now I'm
No, it's
stressing
not
getting
school.
the
This is.
quiz.
Well, see, you got to stop it with
Well,
school. This is adults
This
having a
is
real
adults
conversation
having
about a
real
sport that we both
conversation.
love.
Well, I think the money. I mean, there's huge
Great.
contracts.
What about the money? Are the contracts that huge?
They can be, but it's also okay. Well, it's different now because of NIL, I guess. But if we call this 5 years ago, it wasn't just the money; it was also the endorsements. I think it's the facilities. Not every kid is going to a school like Duke that has NBA level facilities. A lot of people need coaches and facilities and gyms and doctors that are NBA level.
I think that's a really good answer. I also would say it's because of the salary cap. So the salary cap is like an internship.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
the NBA game is so much different than the college game. So why wouldn't you want to get out as soon as possible at a younger age to get to your next contract. Essentially, you're going to learn. They're going to pay you to learn for 3 years until you get your bigger contract, right? Which is typically like then it's like the rookie max if you're able to get that.
Yeah.
But before the salary cap, kids were actually incentivized because when you had like big dog Glenn Robinson, they were signing 5 years, $70, $80 million deals out of college.
Yeah. Which is
Right?
insane.
So it's just a different thing. So like my thing is it's all about how quickly can you start. Now with NIL, you have a little bit more leeway because if you can make $2 or $3 million in college, like, but still it stops you from getting to your next contract sooner, which how many contracts are you trying to get in the lifespan of your playing career?
Not that many. So my next question is, let's say this is going to be a random person that we're making up in our heads, but it's a 4-star recruit, right?
Okay.
And he has an offer from a stacked Kentucky team, or he can go play at Xavier that's a decent, like, mid-major team right now, right? Which team does he choose?
What's my offer?
Oh, well, we're not talking about money. We're just talking about
Well,
the
we
idea.
got to talk
we
about
have
money.
to talk about money?
I mean, that's the
Oh
only
my
way I'm going to
gosh.
go to school now.
True.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's
School
why
is.
AJ's going to BYU.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why
$7
AJ's
million a year.
So then you choose, if Xavier's giving you $7 million, then you go there.
I mean, it depends upon your family and what your family needs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's also be honest about it. Like,
You don't think playing time has to do with it? It's just money?
I mean, well, I'm sure playing time, it's a lot of factors. It's just not money, right?
Yeah.
But like, if I come from a broken home, or if I come from a single parent home where my mom is working 3 jobs to support me, my brother, and my sister, I'm probably going to go take the deal that's going to
'cause
give
you
me.
need that.
We need that, right? Whereas if I come from a dual parenting home and a stable background, I'm going to be able to look at the marketplace and say, you know what, maybe I'll take a couple of $1 million less.
Yeah.
But also I can use that mark by BYU to then leverage my situation currently
Yeah.
and say, well, they're going to pay me this. What other incentives could you throw on to help me get closer to my mark?
Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, I want to play with talent.
Yeah. So if NIL existed when you were making your decision, you would have chosen anywhere that would have given you the most.
I did, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no way in hell I'm 2-time National Player of the Year. I'm not here my sophomore year.
Yeah.
My sophomore year, I went through so much stuff. I got challenged by, like, I call him the mental Jedi mind trick master of the world.
Oh, gosh.
Like, you know, like, if you talk about, like, Star Wars, like the Force, like Coach K has the Force on him. Like, there would be times he'd be like, you were horrible today. Here's a disc for you to go home and watch of your 30 worst possessions. And I have to watch it, and he's like, I want you to come back in tomorrow and tell me how you fix all 30 of these possessions.
Oh, my
And I'm like,
gosh.
oh my goodness, okay. So like my freshman year, that learning curve, I don't know if I would have the same patience in today's world. Like I averaged 14, right, in 6.5, but I was getting beat up. So if I, in today's world, I'm like, hold on. If I'm getting paid $900,000 to be here and you're beating me up and I don't feel like we have a really good rapport, which I don't feel like we did as much my freshman year, I would have taken 2x, 3x to go on somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do that. I was
Yeah.
forced to fight through it with this guy.
And look what.
And then, boom, the rest took care of
That's
itself.
amazing. Also, considering it's rare for Coach K to really start freshmen, knowing you started all 34 games your freshman year, that must have meant something to you.
Yeah, I mean, I also put on the freshman 35. Like, not freshman 10. The freshman, like, 30. I
What
put
were
on
you
35
eating?
pounds. Everything.
Oh.
I
What's
mean-
the best food in Durham?
I mean, it was barbecue.
Yeah.
Every night. I mean, it was bad. It was cornbred. It was grits.
Well, that sounds amazing.
It is amazing,
Yeah.
but not when you're playing
Before the
basketball and
game
you're running
and after
3
the game or just after?
nonstop. I mean, I also live with Carlos Boozer, and he put another freshman
he's-
35.
Yeah, but that's not really fair. I mean, he's a giant.
Yeah,
you know.
well, I mean, I think I'm a giant, but I'm just like a tiny
To
person,
normal
right?
people, I'm 5'4", so you're a giant to me.
Thank you,
Yeah, you're
Sloane.
welcome. I wanted
It
to give you
feels
that comment. Do you feel better
yes,
now?
I do.
Oh, yay, I'm so
I can
happy.
always count on you to feel better about myself.
Yes, you can. So, Jason, you'll see why I did that.
Yeah.
Jason, how did you transition to Jay?
I never did.
Really? It wasn't
No.
your choice?
No.
It just happened?
No, I was getting drafted, and there was an article that broke in the New York Times that said I was changing my name from Jason to Jay.
Yeah, because I read that.
Yeah.
That you made the decision, but no, it was just all of a sudden you were Jay.
No, we tried to find who the mole was because we were tinkering around with the idea. But somebody definitely in my camp.
What's
kind of-
wrong with Jason?
There was nothing wrong with Jason, but there was, like I said
Jason on
before.
your team, right?
Well, no, there was Jason Williams who shot his chauffeur and had to go to jail.
Well, that's true. That's done.
But also, not only that, he got caught outside of a hotel and got tasered. There was a lot of things that were going on
None of
back
those
then.
things
There's a
are
lot of
good.
conflation in the
Yeah,
marketplace.
it seems that way.
About Jason. So, and then there, like I said before, there was White Chocolate, who was the real Jason.
Yes, yes. Okay. So in your rookie season, you had 26 points, 14 rebounds, and 13 assists in a game against the Nets, which are your hometown team. Insane. Can you take me back to that night and what was going through your head?
Well, we used to run this offense called the triangle,
Okay.
which have you ever heard of the triangle
I
offense?
can't say I have.
Okay, so the triangle offense was like the offense that Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, those teams won championships with, right?
Okay.
Like Michael Jordan was getting scoring titles for his first several years until they drafted Scottie Pippen,
Yeah.
Jerry Krause. But the offense actually created continuity. So also it's the offense that Kobe and Shaq won championships, right? It's
Yeah.
built for incredible wings and bigs. It's not built for guards that play fast like Steph Curry or D Rose that want to involve you in a lot of pick and rolls.
Yeah.
So literally, we were running that offense every possession, which sucked for me because the ball was out of my hands. So that game against the Nets was the first time I kind of got a little bit rebellious and said, "Screw it!
Yeah.
I'm not going to run your offense. I'm just going to play."
And it worked.
And I had triple double. So it was the best moment of my career.
Really?
Yeah, because it was against Jason Kidd,
Yes. Yes.
and Jason Kidd is just
Jason Kidd.
a beast.
Yeah.
Man. It was Jason Kidd. It was Vince Carter. It was Richard Jefferson, who I just beat a national championship the year before.
You know, Sloane Knows alum, Richard Jefferson.
There you go. Have you done an interview with RJ yet?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He was one of my first guests.
He's spicy, huh?
He is spicy.
Yeah.
You know, I could actually ask you this. I told him, I was like, thank you so much for doing it. To pay you for being on my podcast, would you like some of my hair? I said that to him, and I feel like you may want some too, because I have a lot.
No, I feel
don't
very
have that.
secure being
Oh,
bald.
you like being bald?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah, I've been
cool.
bald before I started losing hair.
Oh,
a long time.
interesting. Do you think it benefits a basketball game being bald because there's not as much to carry on your head?
It benefits me. I can still do a lot of things. Like when I come out of the pool, I still throw it back.
Really? Okay.
I still do all the natural motions as if I had
And what
hair.
happens then?
And,
Just
I mean,
the water like slides off.
Yeah, it's a smooth effect.
Ooh,
though. It's, I
cool.
mean, my
Okay.
younger days before I was married, it had an interesting effect.
Yeah, I'm sure. Interesting. Yeah. You can look in. You can use your head as like a mirror. Actually, I've been sort of distracted while we were talking because I really like looking at myself. And while we were talking, I keep like looking.
Well, I'm
at
glad I
and
could
like,
provide that for
yeah,
you.
thanks
You're
so
welcome.
much, Jay. You just it's great. Just giving each other a lot. Okay, so let's talk about the current NBA. I want to hear who's your favorite current NBA player right now.
Shay.
Same. So
Shay,
much
Shay.
aura. So much aura.
Shay. Yeah.
Shay, Shay.
I do. I am also starting to love Amen Thompson.
I believe it's pronounced amen. I had to go into the microphone so everyone could hear that I was correcting Jay Williams.
No, that's fair. You can go. I call him. See, this is where you should ask me a follow-up question.
Okay.
Instead of
Oh yeah. Jay and I have spoken about this before for everyone to hear. He's also going to be my new mentor and teacher. So this
just
is
joking
also
with
going to be a learning
I'm
curve.
also
So please
joking
tell
with.
me.
No, stop.
No, I need
I
to
call him
learn.
Amen because I really think like when you go to church and you're like,
Oh, 'cause
hey,
you're like, amen.
When someone comes across, you're like, Amen.
Amen, and that's what you see with him.
Like I've known the twins since they're
Yeah.
like actually sit on the board of, a high school basketball league called
Okay.
Overtime. So
I'm
I've
familiar.
I've seen them for a very
Yes.
long time, and I just think that his game is. I love watching Houston. Like I just think they're different.
Yeah.
They're young. They're fun. So I mean, of course you got like LeBron and Giannis
Of
and
course.
like Steph and
Yeah.
all these other guys, and I love Shea, but like I
Yeah.
don't know. Amen.
I saw a quote today from Jalen Green that said that once a man really gets his jump shot down, like
It's over.
It's over.
It's
Mhm.
over.
And I'm excited
It's
to see that.
problematic for people.
Yeah, and he's so young too. I think they were Amen and Nassar were two of the youngest from their draft class,
Yes.
so they have so much more
And
time to grow and to
Sloane,
learn.
there's something about like, you're doing an interview with a lot of incredibly powerful people that do your job, right?
Yeah.
When you start feeling comfortable in the room, you're like, oh, I belong in this room too.
And when he gets there,
That's what I'm saying. That's when it's scary.
Yeah, it's cool to see that with rookies. I feel like sometimes you can see that switch when they realize, sort of like you're talking about when you decided to rebel against your team's plan. You can see that sometimes with a rookie where they're like, "Oh no, like I get this now. Like I'm here, I belong here," and that really changes their game.
You got to stress test things, right? You got to see how
Totally.
far you can take it before you got to keep edging, pushing boundaries.
Yeah. All right, who is the most underrated player in the NBA currently?
I would probably go for the person that you work with in the podcast. And I've had some I would love to sit down and talk with Dre because I really respect Dre. I think sometimes Dre gets in his own way. I think Dre also, if he were to be reflective, he would say that.
Yeah.
But he is a dog of a competitor.
He is.
And I'm built the same way. Like sometimes I get lost in the emotion of things because I'm so in it.
Yeah.
Right? But like he is a floor leader.
He is.
It's really incredible to watch, and I think people always get caught up in all the shenanigans, but they don't see all the details
I
at the
agree.
level he's able to execute. I think he's the most
Yeah.
underrated player in the league.
Yeah. I like that you said that. I mean, because that's who, if someone were to ask me the question, that's exactly what I would say. And this may be a bold statement, but I don't believe that there would be a Warriors dynasty without
I agree with
Draymond.
you.
People don't understand how Steph Curry is not Steph Curry without Draymond Green. KD's Warriors years are not KD's Warriors years without Draymond. Clay is not Clay without Draymond. He is the heart of the team. He is the heart and soul. And sure, there's been instances where he hasn't, but 99% of the time, he really lifts his whole team up in a way that is rare.
But also, like, he's a savant, right?
He
like,
is.
I tell you, I geek out, like, on basketball terminology.
He's
like,
a basketball geek.
Watching him talk about
Yeah.
film, I'm like, okay, here comes the Iverson cut. You can hit a flare screen out the Iverson cut, like, slip it. Like, he sees things before they happen, and he makes reads, and then he can actually verbalize to people what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Like, that does not happen. Like, LeBron can do that. Steph doesn't really do that, right? Dre does that for Steph.
I mean, he's low-key a point guard.
Which is why I think Dre loves Bron, because there aren't people that actually see the game that way. People that can
you think
react.
they can geek out together?
Yeah. Like Russell Westbrook sees the game, but he's more of a react, and it happens, right?
Yeah, Draymond sees it before.
Sees it before it happens.
Could you see Draymond becoming a coach?
Easily. I can see Draymond becoming the next head coach of Michigan State.
Wow. That would be
I actually think
special.
he would be perfect for something like that.
Yeah, totally. No, I see that. Yeah, the grit, that's definitely Dre's vibe. Okay, next up. Who do you think was the biggest 2025 All-Star snub? LaMelo, Trae Young, Devin Booker, just to list a few.
I mean, Trey's always going to be that person for me to a degree, because it's just a situation.
Yeah.
Like, it's an unfortunate, but it's like he always gets discounted, even though I think he puts up numbers, but it doesn't translate as much.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, like, I would say that's my biggest snub. I'm really happy that Tyler made it. Tyler Hero.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Like,
for
because
sure.
his game has always been that, but there's all, like, the Jimmy Butler saga that just overshadows how good Tyler is. So those are probably my two.
I've seen Tyler play in person 2 games this season, and he is a sniper. Like, he is a catch and shoot demon. I haven't seen someone catch and shoot like that since Clay on, like, Clay's prime. He's amazing. And I agree, like, you get caught up in that a lot of the time. People don't realize that there's more to a team than just their superstar. And I feel like there's so many players like that are now getting their shots. So that's cool to see.
Agree. And also, I think Eric Spoelstra is probably one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the league. So it's like the combination of, like, how he's been able to, like, unleash.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing. Like, people like, oh, like, Jay, you're a top pick. You should just go into the NBA and crush it. I'm like, well, actually, my head coach doesn't give me a vehicle for me to crush it with our offense.
Yeah.
Because
someone needs to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, and player development, how
Totally.
people break you into that is everything.
Totally. Okay, so Jay, can you give me your Duke all-time starting 5? I know you've answered this question so many times, but I need to hear it now on Sloane Knows.
All right, so, this is tough.
Also, feel free to name guys that you want to come off the bench. We're very inclusive here.
So
on
this
Sloane
is like a
Knows.
top 8.
Okay.
Okay. So, like, one follow-up question. Is this, like, who I want to go into battle with, or, like, who are the all-time greatest that I would associate
I think
with?
all-time greats. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got to start off with Christian Laettner.
Of course.
I think Late is there. I would say
You can obviously put yourself.
Grant Hill. Grant Hill's there. I'm going to put me in there. I'm going to go JJ. Just because I think we talk a lot of trash to each other, but I would just love to be in the same backcourt with him.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. This is tough. I'd probably go maybe Jason Tatum.
Wow.
I'll go Jason Tatum.
Yeah, he solidified it now.
Yeah, and I would have Paolo. I would have Kyrie. And I would have Coop come off the bench.
Wow. Knowing that, I mean, he hasn't even finished his rookie year, and you're already putting him there, that's saying something.
I think that's special. Now, let's talk about some of the players I omitted from, right? Zion. I love Zion. But, like, you know, like...
Yeah, I mean, his career is not...
That's my dude. It's durability. I need that. Who else did I leave off? Jabari Parker. Danny Ferry. I'm okay.
Yeah,
I think I'm good.
I'm comfortable with your team
I think I'm okay.
as well.
I think we're.
It's crazy too because there's so many guys that there's so many times that we could have had this conversation where we would have thought there was guys like take a Jahlil Okafor, like 5 years ago, his college year, we would be saying like, oh, we think he was gonna be in that conversation.
Really?
And then it doesn't happen. There's a lot of people like that. I mean, Justice Winslow, there's people that you think when they're here at Duke, I think that you think that, oh, they're gonna be in that conversation, and it just doesn't translate.
I don't think people recognize like like when you're a freshman, right? Like the one and done era is interesting. Like I'll tell you the biggest difference with my freshman, my sophomore year. Like my freshman year, nobody really saw me coming.
Yeah.
Right? So like I then became the person on the scouting report. But like I gained momentum. Like when you come back as that player to then like exceed expectations when defenses are specifically outlining their scouting report just to specifically stop you.
Yeah.
There's another level to it, right? So like when I'm able to watch Grant like build on that, when I'm able to watch JJ build on that, like for me, my sophomore year, being National Player of the Year, win a championship, come back, and having a different junior year, like knowing that like, if you stop me, probability of you winning our game is higher, right?
Yeah.
But still, it was hard for people to stop me because I played with other studs. So I would factor that into it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, for sure. Okay, so who is an underrated all-time Duke player that you don't think gets a lot of love? People don't talk about a lot.
I'll say Shane Battier. I think, and just because I think Shane did all the dirty things defensively that nobody ever really sees, nor do people care. Like we're in a highlight-driven society. So like when you wake up in the morning, you want to watch hoops. Like you go to your phone, you're going to all the different highlights of games that happen. Like they don't show the strips, they don't show the rotations from the weak side. They don't show the communication on the back end of the defense. They don't say, hey, slip on the screen or like echoing the scouting report. There's
that's
so
what
many.
the hoop heads want to see.
That's what I'm saying though. Like and like that's why JJ and LeBron's podcast was so dope, right? Like when you're actually sitting down and you're hearing all the specific terminology, all the tactical maneuvers, like and how that's being executed while you're running 5.5 miles. Like in a 12-minute quarter, maybe to become 10-minute quarters, we'll see soon. Like that's not easy to do.
No, it isn't. All right, so lastly, I want to end with 2 fun sections. So first we're going to go with a rapid fire, and then we're going to do some Jay Williams trivia, and we're going to see how well you know yourself. So starting off with the rapid fire. Other than Cameron, what is your favorite college basketball arena?
Oh, Dean Smith Center. I used to light their asses up.
So you like it just because
I feel like I just went off into a different place. Am I allowed to curse? I feel like I just cursed. I'm not sure.
Go somewhere
I'm like,
else
it's like the Kobe Mamba thing just happened.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I curse and I'm not allowed to curse. I'm sorry.
Again, setting a bad example for the children, Jay. Gosh, the children.
Jay Will's not for. Can you beep that out, please?
Yeah, we'll bleep it.
Okay.
We'll bleep it.
Sorry.
We'll put like a nice little like unicorn sound, like la 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 la.
Unicorn, la la la.
And like put like some
I mean,
puppies
like me and the
rainbows
Kobe eyes,
everywhere.
like with the la la la.
All right. In 5 years, who will be the face of the league and why?
5 years, who is the face of the league and why? It's tough, but it's not. I mean, it's gonna be Wemby. It's Wemby.
Yeah.
I mean,
The alien.
I have a media company / management company with Giannis, and like I watched them battle the other night.
That was crazy.
And like, there are not too many people on this planet where I'm like, like their size or length is gonna give GA a problem. That dude gives GA a problem.
Did you see that one highlight where like Wemby is sort of in the corner and he's like dribbling back and forth, spinning around, and he just sort of like throws it up
and it's like what like, and look, like you gotta imagine for me too, like I am specifically jaded by people like this. Like my sophomore year, I could leave school earlier and was like, Jay, you're gonna be the first pick in the draft. The Washington Wizards had the first pick in the draft. Michael Jordan, you and Michael Jordan, the same team. I'm like, this is so incredible. You know, Coach K is like, look, I think you need to come back to school, be the first player to graduate Duke in 3 years. You need to learn how to lead a team. I'm like, okay, I'll come back. And I come back, I'm like, I'm gonna be the first pick in the draft. And all of a sudden, God's like, here comes a 7'6" Chinese person, you know, and it's gonna be voted into All-Star every year. I'm like, come on, really? Out of all the years, that's like the fact that this dude is like 7'6", 7'7", but can shoot threes and can move like that. Come on, come on. It's over. He's gonna be the face.
Yeah, totally. What is the best sports city in the country? Overall sports city.
Overall sports city. I mean, football kind of rules for me. So like if they three-peat, it has to be Kansas City.
Yeah.
Like and this is football just drives so many numbers. And I think if we're getting into the conversation about like Tom Brady's the GOAT, and I know Tom and him I talk about, but if this dude wins 3 in a row,
no, that's unheard of.
He's just the greatest ever. And he's still so young. So like I guess you would be able to like delineate the greatest sports city in the world, like all sports, but knowing how much football dominates, I don't think you're gonna find a better city for sports in Kansas City right now.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but it's now brought in so many different fandoms. Like take Taylor Swift's
saying.
fandom. Now everyone is a Chiefs fan.
Do you think Travis Kelce will continue to be as popular if they break up?
Okay, well, if he goes into like a little revenge area and she starts writing like breakup songs and he starts like going off and like in the end zone doing some like celebrations, I actually think that would be cool. That's
So it depends on how they break up.
Yeah, it depends on how they break up.
matters.
It was just like a mutual like, oh, we love each other so much. We just
it's kinda
are in
boring.
different places in life. Like, then that's like a sob story. But if it's like they're both trying to like be like vengeful, I think that that's sort of a vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Note to self.
Yeah, exactly.
Vengeful vibe.
Yeah, vengeful vibes, exactly. Okay, Jay, what is your favorite podcast? There's a pretty obvious answer here, Jay.
I mean, it's Sloane Knows.
Yeah, okay.
It's
That's
not
what
even a
I mean,
question.
like,
I mean, I kind of geek out and be like Malcolm Gladwell and other things,
Oh,
and
okay.
things of that sort.
but like, let's just forget about it.
but like basketball podcasts, it's only you.
Yeah, no,
There's
I
nobody
didn't even
else.
know there was other basketball podcasts.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that.
There-
I didn't know there was other podcasts. I thought I was the first ever.
You're not only the first, you're first and only.
Yeah, first and only. Okay, great. I'm glad we
That
decided
maybe
on
should
that.
be the name of the podcast. Sloane Knows
Sloane
first
Knows,
and only
the first and only ever in eternity.
podcast.
Great. And then no.
I wouldn't even call it podcast. I would call it simulcast. It's time to
Yes.
level up.
Okay, but we should call it BL before LeBron. Or no, this is AL. This is after LeBron.
It's after LeBron already. He's still playing.
Well, I know, but like he's 40 now. It doesn't count. Or no,
I-
DL
I am-
during LeBron. Or during LeBron.
No, the DL has different meanings as well. I don't
Yeah,
want to go down
down
that
low.
path.
Okay, sorry.
Let's come back and readdress something. Like this post 40 thing, we gotta, if we're gonna be brother sister, we gotta
Okay.
work on this. Okay?
Okay.
Like 40 is the new 30.
Oh, cool. So
Okay.
wait, so then 17 is the new. Does that mean 17 is the new 10? Does
No,
that mean I'm
it
10
doesn't
years
work
old?
that way. When you're
Okay.
below 20, you have to start getting
it
above.
only starts when you're older.
Yeah, but you're
Okay.
entering like the
Yeah.
Taylor Swift full woman stage of life. You're coming into that.
Oh, thank you. Wait,
Yes.
So when you like, you just become Taylor Swift, I'm confused.
No.
Oh.
When you become Taylor Swift
Oh.
of the podcast industry. You see how I did that?
Exactly.
How are you going to continue to make the podcast happen when you're here at Duke?
Oh gosh, love this foreshadowing, Jay. Thank you so much. Well, I think that we can do. First off, then that means we can talk to each other even more.
I just want to be a part
Yeah.
owner of it.
Oh, sure.
I can
Okay,
help you
well,
procure
I will
talent.
have
I
to
can
talk
talk
to
to
my
Dre about-
team about that. You
Okay.
talk to Draymond, But no, I think like what would be really cool, and my goal and my hope is that Duke has such an incredible sports culture, and that I'm able to really continue to show that to the world and interview athletes from Duke's various incredible programs. I mean, there aren't many schools out there that really excel in every single sport like Duke does, and I want to show that. And I mean, when the Boozer twins are here, if Nick Kamenya, who I've already interviewed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I talked to him about his starting five for Duke.
Yes, we do. I mean, that's
He
going to
needs
be...
to do a little bit more history and homework.
He does.
Due
Nick,
diligence
yes,
would be nice.
But if, the recruiting classes keep looking like this and John Shire keeps just killing it with the 5 stars, I mean, this is going to be a pretty fire podcast.
I got you. I'm also thinking outside just the Duke lane. I'm thinking about like the national landscape.
well,
like
duh.
if you're going to become the Oprah for sports entertainment, like we need to start focusing on a larger cast of a net.
Let's do it. I'm so excited. So that leads me into my final question, Jay. If I want to nominate, if you could nominate a Sloane Knows guest, who would it be? And can you help me get the guest?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would say that needs to be Steph and Aisha.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that would be like my goal.
Yes, I think they would. I also think it's really cool to see when you hit a certain level of celebrity, like the new celebrity will become anonymity, right? Like everybody wants to showcase everything now.
Yeah.
And the more you learn how to start being discreet, it will give you more power in the marketplace.
Otherwise known as nonchalant.
Well, I mean, no. I think.
Okay, I don't mean to call you an older person, but you're older than me.
Yes,
so I'm
that
just
is
gonna
accurate.
say that.
That is accurate.
As an older than me person, I feel like older than me people don't fully get the meaning of nonchalant, because my definition of nonchalant is like how you're explaining it. Like I'm still like, you know what I mean? Like you just have to be discreet, like not let people know your every move, but still come out. And when you come out, you're powerful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess
So
that
now you
makes
feel
sense.
me?
Yeah, I guess
I'm so
that makes
glad
sense with
I could
nonchalant.
do
Yeah.
some charity work and
No,
give an
I
older than me
like that.
person some explanation. I taught you mogging and
Mogging?
nonchalant.
I mean, I kind of knew what nonchalant meant.
No, you didn't.
I feel like my vocabulary is pretty extensive.
No, it is actually like half the words you said. I had no idea what you meant, but I just pretended like I did. Oh, that's the improv. Do you think I'm a good actor?
That's I do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I was acting, I had no idea half the words you were saying.
You ready? Want to play a game?
Oh no, sure.
Let's play the level up game. I say a word, you give me another word that comes off that word, and we keep going until somebody messes up.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Chair.
Table.
Sit.
Stand.
How does chair work with table?
Wait, okay, can you re-explain the rules?
No, I just want to see where you go next.
How does chair work with table? You sit in it.
Okay. Let's do another one.
Okay.
Every word I say,
Okay.
you have to build off of that word. All right, so we're gonna build off it. We're gonna create a story.
Okay.
All right, so I'll say a word.
Okay.
Then you give me a story off that word real quick.
Okay.
And then I'll give you another story off your story. We'll keep
Okay.
going. You ready? Chair.
Wood.
Chopping wood.
Timber, chopping wood and it's falling.
Building a cabin.
Sleeping in the cabin.
Fireplace in the cabin.
Roasting marshmallows.
Camping.
Krzyzewskiville.
Tent.
Duke.
See how we go?
Yes.
See everything
Wow,
on the
we
fly?
need to go to Duke.
Yeah, that's how we go.
That was
That's
so
how we
cool.
end.
Amazing. That's how we end it. Go Blue Devils, baby. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sloane Knows. You can get links to my socials and see behind-the-scenes fun from Jay and I in the show notes, or just search @Sloane Knows on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Remember, that's Sloane with an E.